Hi everyone, and welcome back to Creepy Places of New England. Well, right now we are back in Cumberland, Rhode Island, right on the border of Woonsocket.
Elder Ballou.
And right now it's Elder Ballou Meeting House Road, and this is Elder Ballou Cemetery. It's fall now in New England with all the bright colored trees and everything like that. And we come back to bring you some more footage about this place, bring you more history, listen to more cars go by. Thank you. And to give you more of our ghost hunt and paranormal experiences here, as we now have some EVPs that we've recorded here, and to show you more about this place. So we hope you enjoy it.
All right, we're now in the cemetery, and I want to introduce you to Reverend Abner Ballou and his beautiful wife, Mrs. something Ballou. I think that's Boulia. Actually, that's a really nice name. So, the Reverend here was actually the church's third minister, which was, the church is actually located down the hill. Well, I should say used to be located down the hill. Before him, the two reverends were the cooks. They are buried in here somewhere. I believe they're buried somewhere down there. Steve! Say hi! That's Steve. So, he was a Baptist minister, and they were very ultra-conservative, which means that they were assholes, and that they, remember that Tea Party, meaning they were just as crazy as those whack jobs. So, he was a reverend, and that's his wife. Now, I want you to introduce you to someone else. Harriet, his granddaughter. Now, why am I kind of pointing her out? Well, she's a child, but this tombstone right here was stolen years ago, somewhere back in the 80s. It's kind of known that for some bizarre reason, people in New York and other parts of the country have been stealing New England tombstones, I guess because of the more interesting designs and stuff. And she was stolen, and then she was found in Connecticut. Well, not her, the tombstone. And it was returned, and they did bring it back, which is really cool, and I'm sure that made the Reverend very happy, right? All right, this slab right here, and that little marker over here, was where the church used to be. Here's a picture. Unfortunately, the church burned down in the 1960s. Yeah, it would have been kind of cool if it was still here, but, what can you do? You got disasters all the time. Now, over there where Steve is standing, you might be able to see him a little bit. Okay, he's waving. That's like another cemetery, only it's a lot smaller. I'll get a closer up of it too. And there's the Elder Ballou Cemetery, okay? But these people were incredibly conservative, whack job conservative, Republican GOP, Rush Limbaugh conservative whack jobs, okay? Men and women, when they had to come into church, had to enter through separate doors. Church services lasted all day on Sunday. I've been to a church before. I went to a Baptist church before. 2 hours long. I was ready to commit suicide, which is kind of ironic. Now, wintertime in New England is freaking freezing, okay? You got many people talk about wanting to head down to Florida. I don't mind the winter, by the way. But back then it was even worse because now we kind of got global warming going on, so it's actually winter has radically changed since then. But okay, regardless, the people wouldn't allow a heating duct in. Why? Or heating duct, heating stove, however they heated back then. Why? Well, their exact quotes were, "It would be the work of the evil spirit to have such a worldly notion in the house of worship." What the fuck, huh? I mean, what the hell? One of the creepiest parts of this cemetery is that you got crypts lined along this wall, kind of like a hill, I should say. And this one you can actually, point into a little bit. Now, these crypts were used back in the old days, and I know some to keep bodies in there that died during the winter, because in New England winter, the ground would have been too hard to dig. So they kept them here until the spring thaw, and then they put the bodies in the ground. While it's quiet now, I want to do a panoramic view of the cemetery. Well, not panoramic, but sort of like a wide view. Well, it's autumn in New England, beautiful trees. Now we're going to be going from reverence to the easy transaction to aliens. All right, back in the 1967, there was a man named Harold Trudell who saw UFOs over a field off of Elder Ballou near the Woonsocket Cumberland line. God, that is very pretty. Gotta love fall in New England. I was going to say autumn, okay? So the story happened in 1967. He believed he was communicating with the aliens, and that he actually saw them again a few times in 1968. He has a few pictures. Here are some of the pictures. Absolutely 100% agree with you. They're completely fake. I don't know if he really did see them and he wanted to have kind of like a proof, so he just made up these pictures. But you know what? At least it wasn't bad as saying, you know, filming airplanes in Woonsocket and North Smithfield, and then posting it on YouTube and calling it UFOs. At least it's not that bad. At least these pictures were a little bit better. So now we're going to transition. We mentioned before about ghosts. This is probably one of the most haunted locations in New England due to the vandalism. Now take a look at Fran and John's Price Paranormal. They did a very excellent YouTube video that had us in it. And they picked up some of the best EVPs I've ever gotten from this area. Plus I want to share with you a possible shadow person caught on tape from one of my second time here, and a possible EVP. Make up your own decision about it, where it's not. But fortunately, beautiful sky, beautiful field, no Harold Trudell aliens, but I thought you might be kind of cool to mention them. Now, here's the video of a possible shadow person. Cumberland?
Yeah, it is Cumberland. It's right on the border.
But it's Woonsocket!
Cumberland.
Woonsocket.
Cumberland.
But why did all these people online keep saying... Now let me point out two things for you. Over to the far right, near the road, there's this shadowy figure right by the road. I really do not remember anyone walking on the road. Also, more towards the left, by one of the tombstones, it appears to be like this white figure. It might be a tombstone, but at times it looks like it's peeking out from behind the tombstone. Now we're going to continue the rest of the video, and I want to show you something else. And everything that this is actually Woonsocket.
Because they're probably crackheads.
Well, does it really matter if it's Woonsocket or Cumberland?
No, because it's right on the border anyways.
Yeah, and who's really got to come here? Who's really got to come to Woonsocket?
You and me.
Well, that's because you live here.
Well, I like it here.
I don't know why. Okay, let's take a look again. As you can see, the shadow figure hasn't moved. So if it was a walker, well, why hasn't it moved? You also got to take in the fact that what kind of road it is and what the season it was. I can't figure out why anyone would be walking along that road. But like I said, I really don't remember if anyone was walking. And also the white figure that looks like it's pointing out from behind the tombstone, it's still there. So I have a feeling it most likely is a tombstone, but I will go back there and check. And so now I'd like to close by thanking Fran and John of Price Paranormal for pointing this out for me. Here's a picture of a very white orb. Usually the more legit orbs look something like very white, like a ping pong ball, and sometimes people will be like, oh, isn't that the moon? But no. That is, I have to say that might be one of the few legit orbs I've ever caught. Now here's a possible EVP. When I was out with the University of Rhode Island ghost hunting team, you're right, I decided that, well, this was a pretty cool sunset, so I made a recording of it. Listen to the first 1.5 seconds of this video. So this EVP occurred at the very beginning. Not sure what it is, actually. Sounds like either saying hello or go home. But I will tell you, it wasn't an animal like a dog or an owl. And so now I'm going to play it back for you and repeat that same, only 1.5 seconds, 7 times in a row for you. Well, there you have it.
If you'd like to hear more EVPs, look up Price Paranormal's trip to Elder Ballou. They picked up some of the best EVPs I've ever heard.
What's your bill drug?